everybody, welcome back to the channel. So good to be with you again today. Hey, I'm excited because today I'm going to be diving into the newest batch of bookers for the year. Last batch for the year. This is 04, batch 4. This hasn't even made it to shelves here in West Michigan where I am. I got lucky because a big shout out to Harry, Distillery manager down there at Jim Beam for he actually invited me and a couple of friends to come down this weekend, so we got to go down there when they're closed to the public, and we got the run of the place. I mean, we could pick out any bottles we wanted out of the gift store with no competition. I mean, Booker's, Baker's, Lil Book, Knob Creek 18. I mean, you name it, it was there. We had free run of the place. They even gave us a tour of a private distillery that is also not open to the public ever, and even gave us a pretty cool exclusive tasting in a really high-class tasting room that's typically reserved for employees and executives, and the lineup was insane. I mean, it included like Hardin's Creek, Baker's 13 year. I mean, it was such a cool experience. So more on that in a future video. I'll unpack all of what we did, what we learned, and that'll be a cool follow-up video, I think. But while I was there, I had to pick up the latest expression of Booker's. I'm a Booker's fan. I mean, you can see on the shelf there, boop. I like the stuff. So far this year, I mean, this is the 4th batch. So the first batch of the year was Charlie's batch, which was very well received, followed by the Apprentice batch, which got really mixed reviews. Most people are in agreement that that is in dead last place. 3rd place out of 3 so far for expressions this year. It was really off book, no pun intended. I actually kind of liked it. I mean, it wasn't a typical Booker's, but I kind of liked the, every now and then, you know, one of the batches is just a little off kilter. It's not typical Booker's notes, and it kind of helps break up the monotony. I mean, we do get 4 expressions a year, so I'm totally cool with them continuing to experiment with one of those. Then after that, we had the Mighty Fine batch, which most people, I mean, you could toss up a coin. Half of the people are going to say that was the best one so far this year. Half of the people are going to say it was Charlie's batch was the best one so far this year. It's a toss-up for most people. Me, personally, I think I've actually enjoyed my pours of the Mighty Fine batch more than Charlie's. But it's like this close. You know what I mean? It's neck and neck. And now, final batch of the year. Here we go. 2023-04. We are going to see if this one can hold a candle, because this is actually steep competition this year. A lot of people have been a little concerned about the Booker series, saying that some of the previous expressions in this year and last year were not hitting the marks. I think they earned a lot of points back with Charlie's badge and with the Mighty Fine badge. The Apprentice did not do them any favors, though, in that capacity. So we'll see where this one stands. This is 7 years, 2 months, 29 days on the batch. It is 127.8 proof. Always a lot of heat on these Bookers. They give you that good Kentucky hug. You feel it in your chest. This one is called the Storyteller batch. My dog is going to town on an antler, so if you hear that stuff in the background, I apologize. But here is the batch story. The 4th release of the Booker's Bourbon 2023 collection is Booker's Batch 2023-04, the Storyteller batch. This batch is named after the way my dad, Booker No, could turn just about anything he talked about into an interesting story. Dad was a natural storyteller. While out on the road to promote his namesake bourbon, he would tell anyone who would listen about how Booker's Bourbon came about. So a little tribute to Booker No and the heritage of the family. We did learn while we were there one of the questions that one of my buddies asked them, because the distillery specifically that we visited has taken over the production of the Booker's batches. And one of the things that they asked them, they said, hey, so do you name the batch after you've tasted it? Is sort of like, you know, you get an understanding for how that batch tastes when it's coming out the barrel, and then you try and name it something that is inspired by the flavors. And they said, no, not at all. It's not how it works. So the name and the flavor have nothing to do with each other. You know what I mean? So it's not like when they named it Kentucky Tea, it's because they tasted it and they thought, oh, this has great vegetal notes. Maybe we should tie it in with this story about the Kentucky tea. It doesn't work like that. They come up with the names and who they're going to honor and what heritage they're going to nod to way before the batches ever come out. So if you've ever had a Booker's and you've tried to draw connections between what you're tasting and the name of the batch, don't do it. They're not related at all. All right, let's crack this baby open. Let's see if it can hold a candle to Charlie's batch and Mighty Fine. There you go. I love that sound. Alrighty. Here she be, a little visual inspection. Always a great dark walnut sort of a color on these Booker's expressions. And just lightly rolling it around in the glass. We're seeing how thick and viscous it is, which is no surprise, clinging to the glass there. Although the drips running down are thin. They're not like those big thick ones, those big thick juicy boys. They're kind of thinner runs. So I wonder if this one's going to be slightly lower in the viscosity department. Let's nose it. I mean, on the nose, it's clearly Booker's. The nose doesn't go off script, except maybe in one capacity. I get a little bit of lemon zest in there on top of that nuttiness, that classic thick butterscotch and peanut kind of notes you get on the nose of a Booker's. Lemon zest in there too. And a hint of like a confectioner sugar sort of a vibe too. That kind of a sweetness. Got a great nose to it. Let's try it. That's interesting. First sip of the day, admittedly. So definitely get that quick Kentucky hug in your chest on a first sip of a Booker's. It's the first whiskey you taste in the day is going to be a Booker's. You're going to feel it. But I don't get a ton of that nuttiness. You get it like a little bit up front and it goes away pretty quickly. And so that nuttiness that you sort of come to expect from a Booker's is there, but it's certainly not the star of the show. It immediately kind of tapers into some different, it wades into some different waters right off the bat. Quickly leaves that peanut behind, and I get almost like a sweet lemongrass kind of a vibe. Kind of reminds me of like a lemon poppy seed cake. And then it kind of transitions into more of like the kind of a spicy peppery notes that I would associate with a rye that's a little bit ornery, you know what I'm saying? So it has that like typical peanut note right up front, quickly moves away from it into those sweet lemongrass, lemon poppy seed cake, and tapers off, and it ends on this nice naughty, I guess ornery kind of naughty kind of spiciness on the end. Let's do a second sip though, and we'll verify. On second sip, it basically validates everything that I got on the first sip, with one minor change. I can't get lemon poppy seed out of my mind. Right there in the middle of the palate, I feel like that's sort of the crescendo where it all meets up in the middle. And as it tapers off, you get that ornery pepperiness, and as it just sits there in my mouth, that peanut comes back. It's almost like it's the framing. Like the framing is all Booker's, but it highlights a different kind of a Booker's experience right there in the middle. That's kind of wild, actually. Yeah, so if you're a Booker's fan, are you gonna like this? Well, I think you might appreciate that it is close enough to home to be recognizable as Booker's. But you might also appreciate that it takes you into some strange waters as well. It kind of highlights a different sort of a flavor profile right there in the middle of the palate. And then it brings you back home, brings it full circle back around, straight to Jim Beam Distillery, straight back to Booker's. So if you're interested in a slight deviation, especially, I like this because we've already got two great expressions of Booker's this year that are really just right on script for Booker's. Between Charlie's Batch and Mighty Fine Batch, both of those are fantastic, by the way. They're exceptional. But if you have those, you kind of don't need another 2023 expression that is strictly by the book Booker's. So I kind of appreciate that this takes us into some different territory. Overall, how would I rate it? Well, I like the complexity of it. Obviously, I like that it's a little unpredictable. I didn't foresee it going to those territories, so I kind of like that. And so for that, I think I have to give it higher marks in terms of kind of innovation and creativity, since it is a little off script and executed, I think, pretty well. I think that's a delightful sip. So for that reason, I think I'm going to give this expression of Booker's an 8.1. So I rate Charlie's Batch a little bit higher just because it hits all the right notes and it does it really, really well. Same thing with Mighty Fine. But it's still exceptional whiskey. I really like this. I appreciate this quite a bit. Hey, but what do you think? Hey, just hearing some of my tasting notes on this, does that sound like something that might be in your wheelhouse? Let me know in the comments section. Hey, as always, a big thank you to you guys for watching my channel, supporting the channel, and a big thank you to the Patreon supporters especially, who help fund these bottles for me to go out there and pick these things up. You guys are why I can do this channel, so I really do appreciate you. If you want to get involved in the Patreon, you can always check the links in the description. You can go to our Discord, which is totally free. We like to hang out, chat about whiskey there. But also, if you're a Patreon member, I try to do some fun stuff. We did recently a virtual tasting where I sent out packaged up samples to people, sent them out all across the United States. We sat down together one night via Discord chat, just chatting with each other, tasting some whiskeys, sharing and comparing notes, and it was a lot of fun. So if you want to get involved in stuff like that, feel free to check out the Patreon link in the description as well. Cheers, my friends. May you live richly and get better with age. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye-bye.